Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Ton Talks brought to you by Superscript. I'm Alexis Nunes in brilliant company. We've got another presenter here with us, Nubaid, Haroon, and the one, the only, the woman of many talents. And if you watch the game, you're very familiar with her. Ebony Rainford-Brent is joining us now. It's been about a week since we last talked, so plenty has happened in the 100. So let's get a little catch up as to exactly what's been making highlights. Deandra Dotton's unbeaten 50 got London Spirit over the line with 2 balls to spare against the Northern Superchargers, but the men weren't so lucky as David Willey blew them away with 2 wickets and a huge score of 81 off 45. A few days later, Nat Siva brought some batting heroics for the Rockets versus Welsh Fire before Wahab Riaz arrived at the 100 with 4 wickets on the same night. Gosh, we love you, Wahab. Oval Invincibles won versus the Trent Rockets in what was a painful game for Alex Hales. Ouch. A special night at Edgbaston saw Shafali Burma hit 76 versus the Welsh Fire before Imran Tahir set Birmingham alight with the first ever hat-trick at the 100. Love that passion. Deepti Sharma then starred with a bat and ball for London Spirit before the men got their first win, as Carlos Brathwaite's late hitting for Manchester Originals wasn't quite enough to get them over the line. Never mind, Carlos. But it's been absolutely brilliant so far. Some really good moments that we're going to get to. I'm going to ask you guys what your favorite tournament moments have been so far. But let me start off with mine. Let's have a little clip and I'll show you what my favorite moment has been so far.
To the men's game, and Ebony on the drums will be presenting the toss to us. Should be a good one.
Right, I think it's time to do the toss. Do you want to join my band? I know this is a different way to start the toss. Who's singing?
None of them wanted to join my band. They were not interested.
You love your music and you love your drums, but this was a dream come true for you, wasn't it?
It was a dream come through. I'm waiting for Rihanna. I'm waiting for Rihanna and Beyonce to call, to be honest, because I'm ready to go. You might even be able to see in the background my little electric kit, which I was jamming on during lockdown. And now, thanks to the 100, my dream at Lord's in front of about 25,000 people came true.
Nubaid, what about you? I mean, that was my favorite moment. I'm going to get Eb's favorite moment soon. Probably that wasn't her playing drums. But for you, I mean, it doesn't have to be the best sparkling moment, but just what was memorable for you? Because we seem to be getting so many, as I've just shown, on the pitch and kind of off of it as well.
I think Imran Tahir's hat-trick was just, the man is just everything anybody wants from like your uncle. He's 42 years old. He's rolling up hat-trick ball. It's probably one of the best hat-trick balls I've seen in a while, but it's less about that. It's more about the fact that everything requires a fist in the air from him. And I just absolutely adore the passion. He's just something else.
Ebs, what about you? Because you, of course, have been working the 100, but you're also part behind the scenes as well. But then you're also watching it as just a fan and a lover of the game too. So what's been, I guess, your memorable moment?
You know, I have to be honest, one of the funniest bits of commentary I've ever been on was Alex Hales getting hit twice back to back in the Gooly Wheelie Wheelies, as I said while I was commentating on the line. And it was just fascinating because one, obviously we know how much pain it is and you first worry and then you look at everybody cringe and feel for him time number one. And then you think, right, is the bowler actually going to go do the right thing and bowl the same ball again? So from a cricket perspective, I was like, he's actually done it. And then he's actually got hit again. And then time 3, the crowd were like, whoa. And I don't know, I lost it. It was funny. And I enjoyed his tweet the next day about, unfortunately, it was, whatever the scenario is about minimum swelling for him. So it was a funny moment. I don't think in 25 years of being around the game, I've seen it back to back. So that made a lot of people laugh.
I think he got a few more hairs on his chest for that one. To be able to survive that, not once, but twice. Oh my goodness. In terms of the women's game and the fact that, you're in there behind the scenes, you're working it, you've also got a great relationship with so many of the players. What do you think the impact of the 100 has been for the women's game on a whole?
Yeah, I think it was definitely above my expectations. So starting with my thinking, I was with you. I thought, did we need another short format? Did we need all the different rule changes? And I think for the women's game as well, the KSL, which had gone before, had been pretty successful. But what has been really noticeable is the crowds that are not turning up late to just watch the men's game, that are turning up before the women's game, have been more than I've seen in domestic women's cricket ever. So the numbers coming through the gates are like 7 to 10,000 for the women's game, which is not happened before, for domestic women's cricket. For international, yes, but not domestic. And then therefore the players have said they're buzzing because, you're turning up and you've got to lift your standard. You've got a crowd cheering for you. I think that noticeable home team support. So I wasn't sure if people would take to teams. But, up at Edgbaston, if it's Birmingham Phoenix, you will hear the serious cheer. Like, people are loving their hometown.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I took my wife to her first cricket game and she literally said on the way there, I hate cricket. And I was like, I don't care. We're watching the 100, whatever happens. I was like, we've been invited. We're not turning it down. And everybody wants to, I don't know why, but when you get married, everyone's like, make sure you bring your wife. And I was like, oh, she just doesn't like to watch cricket. So we get there. And honestly, she was just moaning throughout the first 5 balls. And she was like, this is rubbish. This is rubbish. And then that was actually the game where Alice Capsey, 16 years old, hits 59. And she was like, whoa. And I remember her specifically saying, I can't believe that girl's that good at cricket. And I remember thinking, you know what? That is probably exactly what the 100 is proving, that the women's game, the standard of the game is so good. And you're not going to just watch it because you're forced to watch it. That was my fear at first, that you have to watch it before the men's games. People might feel forced or might turn up late. The standard of the cricket has been so good. And then she was like, she's now been watching it when I'm not home. She has it on and I walk in and I'm like, are you watching 100? No, not watching 100. But she absolutely loves the women's game. And I think that's been so good for the women's game.
With all that said, like we said, just seeing the women out there on the cricket pitch is one thing, but seeing them perform at this high standard is unbelievably entertaining, and they've been doing that. So it's pretty much the first ball of the tournament. Nubaid, let me start with you. We mentioned Alice Capsey. We've spoken at length as well about her, as well as, Jemima Rodriguez too. We've spoken a lot about her. For you though, who's kind of stood out in the women's game that you're just like, damn?
To be fair, anytime I get asked this question, because I know Kate Cross personally, I kind of have to give her a shout out. So I think she's
You're a good friend.
Listen, I'm out here just trying to tick boxes and make more friends, I think I think she's been quite good. Definitely with the balls, she's been naturally disappointed with herself, and she has been disappointed with the bat. But I think she's had a really tough task, actually, because she's captaining a team that a lot of people have a big expectation of. And generally, some players in the team haven't performed very well. But also, I think her off the pitch as well, she's so charismatic and really relatable. And I think you see that on the pitch. I mean, the first game, she said, this is the biggest crowd we've ever played in front of. And I think that game set the standard, and she was unbelievable in that first game. And her wicket tally is growing. And we do have an agreement that if she gets more wickets than any other player in her team, the last game, she's going to do a celebration that I've sent her. So I just want to keep reiterating that message to her so she doesn't escape from that last game. I think she's been really good.
And in terms of the English women that we're seeing, probably not some of the bigger names, but like we said, the ones coming up, any of them, Evs, that have caught your eye in terms of putting themselves forward or putting their, bat or hand up to probably get an England call-up sooner than later?
It's a good call, isn't it? I think in terms of, the name I was going to go for is Sophia Dunkley, but she's starting to make a name for herself. I think she's become the lead run scorer now for Southern Brave. But I was going to say that some will know her, some won't. But you would have seen this year and that last year, she's just continually stepping up her game. So that was great. Eve Jones from Birmingham Phoenix, again, took a little while to fire. But she started to click and had an outstanding partnership with Shafali Verma, left-handed opener who I think, if she keeps pushing the way she is, and these sort of tournaments are the sort of ones that can help people to step up, is a name to look out for. So I think you kind of got Nat Siver, who's doing what everyone who knows Nat Siver does. You got kind of Sophia Dunkley on the next rank up of England superstar, and now really showing what she's made of. And then I'd say Eve Jones is coming through for me from the Phoenix as another star that if she keeps churning out runs, she could get a name in the England fold.
Let's start again with Ebbs now on this one. In terms of the men, who's really been hitting it out of the park there for you, no puns intended?
Oh, yeah, no pun intended. Will Mead, the youngster,
Funny
19
show
years
today.
old. He for me. Do you know what? I always look at young players, right? Young players. And I remember I was commentating up on one of the games, and I was thinking, who is this dude? Like, fresh, because you always recognise players. Like, who is this dude? And then when you saw him come out and just smash runs, and he just did it so effortlessly, and actually other experienced players around him were struggling to like get timing and find flow. And he just came out, and I think it's that fearlessness of youth. And what I really like is when someone sort of makes a bit of a name for themselves, where all of a sudden people start talking about them, and then next thing you know, he's 19 years old. He could be flying, and he could be you start to look at the Tom Bantons and the Liam Livingstons. I just feel that he could get his name in that sort of hat. Next thing you know, he could be playing in franchise cricket around the world, and then within a year, he could be a superstar.
I don't know, whenever we have these conversations, no one ever mentions Moeen Ali. He is unbelievable, and he's carried that team. And with no disrespect to the rest of Birmingham Phoenix, he's just been absolutely unbelievable. Unfortunately, he's now, unfortunately, he's got a recall for the test, which I'm buzzing for him. But then at the same time, I'm like, there's no way Birmingham Phoenix goes to the final now. And I thought they would, because he's really in form. I'm not sure how I feel about taking players out of the tournament to go play at the test. Obviously, it makes sense. He definitely wants to play England Test cricket. I can't speak for him. He might actually turn around and say he doesn't. But he's waiting for the recall. He's got his deserved recall. It's just a bit like it's taken a bit of the
I know.
It's taken a bit out of the tournament.
Yeah, look, it's when he actually said. This is please, whoever's watching this, do not tweet me and nail me for this. But everyone says, what is the pinnacle, Test cricket or short format? And there's this sort of debate where, I think it's been shifting to short format, but we're not accepting it for a long time. People are just battling with that. And when they said, he got his England call up for the test, I was a bit like, because I wanted to watch him continue to smash it. Like, that was actually, it would be great watching him for 5 days. He's going to spin it, get it on the length if they get him bowling enough, and he's going to come in maybe 7 or 8. But I was thinking, I just want to see him smash it. And that is a really interesting thing, isn't it? Is that, as a player, as a fan, I suppose, I just felt like the tournament needed him. Birmingham Phoenix needed him. England, of course, need him, and that's why they've called him up. But actually, the short format is so fun to watch. He did it in his last test in India, didn't he? Just before he came in for that one test and smashed runs, and you just think, so he's a glorious player, doesn't get what he deserves. Really pleased for him to get back that sort of call at the highest level, but I do think the tournament will miss him as a result of that.
I was just going to say, Ebony, just as a question to you, if, say, you got this call up to play England Test cricket and you're also dominating the 100, potentially going to go on to win it, what would you have done?
I think, look, I have to be honest, you have to go for England because it is, you're representing your country. But I am not going to lie. I think I would do it, and on an interview, I'd go, yeah. And deep down, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm just whacking out of the park. We're about to win. So I think it's a question now, is what is going to be the pinnacle? I would argue that even with the selections that they've been making at international level for England now, it's actually showing they're favouring a lot more the short format. So in 5 years' time, if someone like Moeen got that call between the 100 and Test, it could be interesting what players do, especially if the money starts to go through the roof for this sort of tournament. So, don't tweet me. Test cricket is still kind of the pinnacle. It's just changing.
So we've got, I guess, our top performers there. So with the top performers said, and I know we mentioned Moeen and how crucial he's been for Birmingham, but with him going now, where does that leave Birmingham, and who now becomes your favorites to win it all? Ebs, let's go with you.
Okay, well, I'm going to be biased because I can, and Nubaid was biased when it came to Kate Cross.
She's getting after me now. She's getting after me. Can I say to my commentator?
I'm having you. I'm going for Oval Invincibles. So Oval Invincibles, in that game where Jason Roy smashed 50, was 6th in the table, but won that game and ended up shooting towards, I think they went 2nd. Now they're in about 3rd or something like that. So I just think they could be the team that sort of have one of those late runs. Some teams just dominate, and you expect them to win. Like Trent Rockets went on that charge for a long time. So I'm putting them in. They've clicked. Jason Roy's firing. Sunil Narayan, who'd maybe been a bit missing from my perspective as well, picked up 3 wickets and got moving there. So I'm going to tip them as last couple of games. I know they got one on Saturday and then it kind of goes. They're going to get into that eliminator and then they're going to find their flow and just bam.
I promise it's not because I want to try and get Ebony back on my side. I have it written down in front of me, and I have had it for most of the tournament. I think we Oval Invincibles. I think generally, similar to what Ebony said, I think they've sort of, unlike Trent Rockets, they're going to come to the party at exactly the right time. Trent Rockets peaked so early, and you're kind of seeing the downside of that now as well. And I think quite a few teams have lost key players, and I just think Oval Invincibles, on paper, they do actually have one of the strongest sides. I think Sam Billings is an incredible batsman, really good wicketkeeper as well. Jason Roy, you mentioned, Narayan. I think generally they've just got a really balanced team. And I think as the tournament's gone on, some teams have fielded worse. I think they've fielded better. And I think that'll play a big part later on. So unfortunately, but fortunately, because Ebony likes me again, I'm going to go Oval Invincibles.
We're friends now.
All right, guys. So we're both going with the Oval Invincibles for the men's. What about for the women's? Who are we saying? Let's start with Nubaid.
I'm going to go... I'm very unsure whether this thing is going to be an interesting race right to the finish. I'm going to go Southern Brave. Only because I feel like Ebony's gone with the same one. I can hear you in my ear celebrating. I just think Dunkley's growing. I think this tournament is all about batsmen and batswomen. And I think she will be the one that decides this tournament for them. So although I'm really split, I think it could easily go somewhere else, but I'm going to go Southern Brave for the time being, but it'll probably change by this evening.
We're going the same. We're agreeing here, Nubaid. I think the reason I would say is actually an off-field reason. Charlotte Edwards is running the situation behind this, and every time she's involved in franchise tournament, her teams win. I think she knows how to get the players to understand what it takes to continuously win and be consistent. And then the players have done that. Stefani Taylor, Sophia Dunkley, Danny White, they're all firing. So for me, it's that mix of what they're doing on the pitch, I think, but I also think Charlotte Edwards is very smart at getting her team to know how to get over the line and get the job done. So, yeah, we both agree, Southern Brave.
All right, well, let's move on now to our final segment, which is our fun segment of the day, if we want to call it. It's village cricket videos of the week, and ain't no cricket like village cricket. And Ebony, who is our boss commentator, Evans, we're going to ask you to, off the cuff, just rip through play-by-play of some of these videos. And Nubaid, you're going to be our color commentator and just let us know how you think these things are going. So right, here we go with the first one.
All right, well, definitely taking his time to walk to his mark there. Get on with it.
He's on Jamaica time.
Right, well, he's got some spin about to come.
I'm not feeling confident about this batsman.
Yeah, let's have a look. Well, that is a horrendous shocker. P-roller. I don't think I've seen a P-roller in a game since, I don't know, 1990. Let's have a look in slow-mo. Oh, straight into the wicket. What do you think, Nubaid?
Oh, I think the action. It's the action for me. It's got to be quicker as a spin bowler. Got to be quicker. Comes in too slow, and that's why it trickles.
Nice approach. Absolutely beauty of a ball. Big outside edge, and he's absolutely nailed the keeper in with an uppercut. Outstanding.
You sense there's some animosity there. I reckon the wiki said before he's bowling, just keep this one tight, and he's gone, no, I'm going for this one. So he's gone and punched him in the face.
You ever nailed anybody celebrate?
Yeah, I have, and it's happened to me as well. Fingers in the eye and all sorts. It's a nightmare. I think they had a beef off the pitch. I think like someone put sugar in his tea before the game when he shouldn't have, and he had him when he could.
Oh gosh. All right, well, this is the final video now. Beautiful, gorgeous, sunny day, looking like, yes, you know, if there's grass on the wicket, let's play some cricket. Sunny day.
Oh, hello.
Oh, no.
This is called I want to be free, I want to relieve myself, and I want everyone in the match to know that this is my patch. Do you think they actually cleaned up the stumps?
No.
Though? I bet they didn't.
No way.
Surely after they saw this video, but you know, it rains so much in England, so maybe they just left the stumps out there. Thanks so much, as always, to Nubaid and to Ebs. You guys continue crushing it. We can't wait to see you guys, hopefully, as a cricket game. We all three can go, because I feel like it'll be absolute bands, and we'll get Ebony. Thanks to everyone that tuned into this edition of Ton Talks, brought to you by Superscript. We'll see you again soon.